We're back with The Big Deal. I'm Errol Louis. With President Biden and former President Donald Trump holding dueling visits to the southern border this week, immigration remains a key issue on the campaign trail. Thousands of migrants are making their way through South and Central America, many seeking to flee war, persecution, crime, and poverty. They travel through Mexico and cross the border into multiple states. And while border communities have long been feeling the effects of new arrivals, over the last 2 years, cities throughout the nation are also reaching a tipping point. In Texas, individual cities, as well as the state government, have put more than 100,000 migrants on buses and sent them to northern cities, including New York City, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. In fact, those cities are at the forefront of calls for more federal assistance, as critics say that comprehensive border legislation is needed. Last year, the U.S. Border Patrol apprehended more than 2.5 million people crossing into the country. Spectrum News border reporter John Salazar has more about the journey of one family from El Salvador in this report.
Every Sunday morning, Pastor Julio Vasquez reminds his congregation to remember all people who endure dangerous and arduous journeys seeking safety and opportunity. The Eagle Pass pastor does much more than simply pray for the migrant. Vasquez opens his doors to help new arrivals in America. Vasquez says they are brothers and sisters in Christ and know many flee unimaginable violence. Like this family of 5 from the notoriously dangerous country of El Salvador. They arrived in the U.S. a few days ago with immigration papers in hand. They chose to enter legally, despite seeing so many others take the chance to cross illegally, a decision made to avoid the dangers of crossing the Rio Grande with their 3 children. The process to do it the right way took an entire year. In late 2022, they left Central America, seeking refuge at a shelter in Mexico City. They sought legal assistance for help getting to the U.S. and got nowhere. They eventually learned about the CBP-1 app used to secure a place in line to seek asylum at the border. It took 4 months of attempting to get an appointment for the day to finally come. The family landed a scheduled appointment to cross this international bridge to safely and legally walk into Eagle Pass, Texas, a border town making the regular news cycle for record-setting illegal crossings. In that 1 year, hundreds of thousands of others crossed the same border. No waiting, no seeking help from an attorney, no spending extra time searching for a way to feed a family. They turned themselves in. Many were processed, then released with a court date in hand. But this family says they did not want to jeopardize their asylum claim by crossing between ports of entry, like the thousands we've documented since the current immigration crisis began.
John Salazar joins me now from along the border in Brownsville, Texas, with more. And good evening, John. What are you seeing there at the border?
Well, I can tell you that this object you see behind me, Errol, is not very familiar to many people outside of Texas, but that is Trump-era border wall that was put up here. Now, this winter, the numbers have gone way down with illegal immigration. The Rio Grande Valley and Eagle Pass, which has made many news cycles across the nation, were hammered this past spring. This summer, those numbers shut down significantly at the end of December. But still, you've got the state of Texas, who also is now in the game of border security. Some $11 billion has been spent by Texas taxpayers to try to reduce some of this migration, which comes in between ports of entry. The flow, typically during the winter, Errol, is slower, but we're expecting the numbers to tick up once spring kicks around.
And so, John, that family you profiled that came from El Salvador, why did it take them 4 months to get an appointment through the federal government's CBP-1 app? Was that a connection problem or was that a capacity problem? Why did they have to keep trying?
A lot of people don't understand how hard it is, to understand immigration rules. The rules were one set of ways during the Trump administration, and during the Biden administration, those rules changed. And so people try to navigate the rapid changing rules of U.S. federal law. Now, going back to that CBP-1 app, that family spent a year in Mexico City trying to get some assistance to try to find a humanitarian lawyer to give them help to try to make it to the U.S. That didn't work out. So they learned of the CBP-1 app. They went further north to Monterrey, Mexico, which is about 4 hours just south of where we are here in Brownsville. And they tried for 4 months to use that app. Every morning they wake up, that app goes live, and it's like a lottery. You get on there until you get the appointment. Once you get that appointment, they tell you which bridge to cross, and if you're not there on that day, you will miss your appointment. So it's very arduous. This family took over a year to make it into the United States. At the same time, a lot of people don't have that patience, and those images that we've been showing you from the border are real. People not using the app, not getting an attorney, and challenging the dangers of the Rio Grande, which is not that far from where I'm standing.
So, John, in addition to those dangers, why do a majority of migrants choose to take the risk and cross illegally, since they're going to end up essentially in custody, basically arrested, even if they do make it to the other side, right?
Yeah, with the asylum seekers and migrants that I speak to who just come out of the river, have crossed illegally between ports of entry, they tell me they could no longer wait for an opportunity at freedom. They may not have a cell connection. They may not have a cell phone. It may have been stolen by criminals, maybe by the cartel. And so these people lose patience. Many people are victimized. Their money's taken, their identity is taken, and they end up with no money. And so the last option is to challenge that river, cross, and maybe you'll have the opportunity to stay under humanitarian parole.
Thanks very much, John. We're not done just yet. It is a busy week ahead with Super Tuesday and President Biden's State of the Union address. We're going to bring you a preview of next week's big deal coming up next. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage, and click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.